facilitator for Artist Count. Oh, just now recording? My name is Felicia Shaw, and I'll be facilitating today's gathering. Um, Welcome to Artist Count San Diego plus Tijuana Application Information Workshop. First, I want to congratulate everyone who submitted a letter of interest and was invited to submit a full application. This is an important phase of the selection process where a community panel of experts will be reviewing the detailed information contained in your application and providing a numerical rating. A list of all of the applicants with their numerical ratings will then be sent to the selection committee, which consists of representatives of the Artist Count funding partners. From the list, 12 artists from San Diego County and 10 artists from the city of San Diego will be selected to receive awards of $50,000 each. 20 artists from Tijuana will follow a similar process with similar panel review. They'll receive $20,000 each. Don't forget that the deadline for submitting your applications is Friday, August 21st at 5 p.m. Now, this workshop is designed for artists applying in the City of San Diego and County of San Diego categories only. There'll be a similar workshop for Tijuana applicants on another date. This workshop is being recorded. We heard it say workshop is being recorded and will be available for you to view on demand at a later date. There will be time for questions and answers at the end of the workshop presentation. That portion of the program will not be recorded. I'm joined today by San Diego Art Matters staff who are assigned to Artist Count, Inez Nifsi, San Diego Art Matters Communications Coordinator, and Michael Angelo Camacho, Director of Programs. Before we begin, I want to thank the Previs Foundation, City of San Diego Cultural Affairs, and International Community Foundation for partnering with us on Artist Count. So let us begin. Next slide. So by now, I think many of you have already logged into the Akoya Go system that you use to develop and submit your letter of interest. After you log in, you would have pressed the View button on the left side of the screen for the phase named Artist Count application. Looks just like this. You press the download icon to download the PDF version of the application to view all the questions outside of the grant portal. So you're not in it quite yet. In this slide, you'll see what the landing page should look like after you log in. Next slide, please. So from the landing page, you'll be directed to a welcome page where you'll find all of the sections of the online application. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, part 4 is demographics. It's fairly short, but important. Next slide, please. So we'll now go through the online application section by section. In section 1, you'll find application information, most of which will auto-populate from the information you included in the eligibility survey and your letter of intent interest forms that you already filled out. Please review and update the information as needed and include additional information as required. So check and make sure everything is accurate. Please know that the name, address, email address are locked. Can't change them. We already have that information on file from the first phase of the application process. If this information does not need to be changed or updated, move on to the next section. If it does need to be updated, email the updated address information to info@artistcount.org and staff will update that information for you. One important note. If your eligibility was approved based on your residency in the city or county and that residency has changed significantly, meaning you were living in the city and you moved to the county, please contact us immediately. It matters. A change in residency may impact your eligibility and ability to move forward with this application. We'll address each unique situation like this on a case-by-case basis, but please red flag if you have moved from where you started to someplace new and now you're outside of your funding category. Next slide, please. So also in sections 1 and 2, you'll need to select an occupation code from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Now, this information was requested by our research firm to track data about Artist Count applicants. While we understand that many, if not most, artists are multidisciplinary, we ask that you choose one code that most closely aligns with your primary artistic or cultural practice. Also, in section 2, we ask that you confirm one more time the funding category for which you are applying. Again, if you began this process with eligibility in one funding category, such as the City of San Diego, based on where you were living at that time, and that situation has changed, do not proceed with this application. Contact our office immediately to discuss so that we can advise as to next steps. Next slide, please. In this next section, the narrative response section, it is probably the most important section of the application. This is where you will make your case for support. It allows you to build on the information shared in your letter of interest, but with much more detail and specificity. Please note that your entire letter of interest submission will be shared with the review panelists as an attachment. We will instruct the panelists to review the LOI as a point of reference prior to reading your application narrative. While many of your project concepts may have evolved since you submitted the LOI, the application narrative and the LOI narrative should align. The ideas and concepts should not be so dramatically different that they appear to be new ideas. A lack of alignment will make your application less competitive. Each of the questions in the narrative section will receive a numerical rating of 1 through 4. There are 4 questions for a total of 16 points. You may receive a bonus point of 1 for collaboration, just 1. So it's an up or down vote. Either you did it or you didn't. Please note that the quality of your work samples and budget is also evaluated in the review process. They're not just there to be pretty, they matter. Reviewers will give high scores to narratives that clearly, completely, and thoughtfully describe your ideas. Let the prompts help you organize your thoughts so that each question is fully answered. One note about the application scores, while they are important, they are not the only data that will be used by the selection committee to make final selections. Each applicant is viewed holistically when final decisions are made. For this reason, we do not share scores with the applicants, and we do not provide panel comments or selection committee comments. One additional note for City of San Diego applicants only. If you are applying for funds in the City of San Diego category, please know that the City of San Diego wants us to prioritize for funding projects that serve communities in under-resourced geographic areas. These areas may be designated by the City of San Diego as promise zones or communities of concern, or identified by indicators such as Climate Equity Index or Climate Hardship Index. While we highly encourage you to review the Artist Count guidelines for more information about City of San Diego additional requirements, we invite you to visit their website, not our website, but the city's website, to learn how this works for them. We're not experts on promise zones or cities, communities of concern. They are. So visit their website as well and try to discern what it is they're looking for. What you'll want to also do is determine how your project serves these communities, and be sure to include information in your narrative sections about your project's connections to these areas. Each section allows about 500 to 700 words for each narrative question. We suggest that you draft your responses in a Word document, checking for word limits as you go. And then when you think it's ready, cut and paste what you have written into the appropriate section. Routinely save anything you write directly into the system as you progress. so that you don't lose information that you will have to reproduce from memory. Next section. I want to take a moment to direct your attention to the goals. As you can see, each goal is aligned numerically with each question, and you can find the goals in the guidelines. In the guidelines, you'll see even more background information on what we mean by these particular review criteria. What do we mean by artistic innovation and creativity? What are reviewers looking for? What do we mean by career advancement and timing in artistic context? And what are the reviewers looking for? Really use this information as a guide when you are ready to answer those questions. And here's goal number 3, audience and community impact, and goal number 4, we'll go through them all. And then goal number 5, which is the optional one I was telling you about, collaboration and connections. It also aligns with a narrative question. So now let's go through each of the narrative sections and discuss the questions and the prompts. Keep in mind that all the questions are designed to directly align with the goals, as I said before. Section 1 is divided into 2 sections. Section 1A is focused on artistic innovation and creativity. In this section, we ask you to describe your artistic practice and how it relates to the project or work you propose as part of Artist Count. So now we're just trying to figure out, who are you as an artist, and what's your journey been like? And what is this thing that you're proposing? How does this relate to you? Or is this a total departure from what you've done in the past? If what you're writing in this section is slightly different from what you provided in your LOI, that's okay. I mean, it's an opportunity for you to write something new and go deeper. The panelists just want to learn what makes your practice or project idea inventive, original, and compelling. And you can do that in 500 to 700 words. I know you can do that. Next slide. In part 1B, we talk about work samples, and the work samples help us understand several things about your proposal. We want to learn the quality of your past and most recent past professional work, and we want to see samples that give us an idea of what your project may look like. Now, we know that most of you are developing brand new projects that you've never done, so you don't have any samples. You may not have anything. But if you have something like it, or just remember, the panelists don't know anything, and they just need to get in their mind, what are you talking about? Help us envision what you're trying to do. And a few more notes about this important section. First, make sure that what you share is relevant to this opportunity, even though you may have produced some of the most beautiful work in your past. And you want to share it because you feel that it speaks to the quality of what you can do. If you can find something from your past work that is not only high quality, but is also relevant to what you're proposing, that would be better. It's hard for the panelists to make the connection, regardless of how beautiful your work may have been in the past. They need to see, how does this connect to what you're doing now? And also make sure that your work samples themselves are high quality. Blurry photos or video connections that don't work, or they won't help you. Make sure that your links are operating properly. Make sure that your photographs literally put your work in its best light. And then provide good labeling so that the panelists know what they're looking at and why you chose to include the sample in the first place. So here's how we make sure you do that. We actually have a form, and we force you to put some descriptors in to the slide, so we know, well, what was it titled and what year was it completed and the duration. I'm not sure, but I think you can put anything in those areas. So use that appropriately so that the person who's looking at it can say, well, what does this have to do with anything? They can get an idea from you what this sample means. Next slide. In this next narrative section, we invite you to talk about why this time is the right moment in your artistic journey for you to pursue this opportunity. To help guide your discussion, we have included a printout of the project description you included in your LOI, so you don't have to look that up. So just in case you forgot what you already said, look at your LOI and say, okay, what did I say before? And now let's go deeper. I'd like for you to pay particular attention to this question and think hard about your response. Let the prompts help you explain why this project absolutely makes sense to you right now. I have to say, out of all of the areas that artists responded to in the LOI, this was the hardest, this was the weakest for artists to respond to. And the question is fairly simple. Why now? Why is this the moment where you said, I want to go after a $50,000 funding opportunity that I think is going to be pivotal to me? A simple response that is pivotal because I have bills to pay and this will allow me to, be an artist, or that's legitimate. I mean, that's real talk. To have money to be an artist, to pay for your expenses. But we want to know something else as well. We want to know, is there something pivotal that's I don't keep saying the word pivotal, but I mean that there's something happening right now that positions you to absolutely take advantage of this opportunity that you couldn't have done maybe 2 years ago. Why is this catalytic to your career? This timing is perfect. If someone says, why is this timing perfect? What would you say? So that's how we would like you to respond to this question. Next slide. So under question 3, we ask that you describe the audience for your work and the impact it will have. If you are a City of San Diego applicant, you will want to pay particular attention to this question. As discussed earlier, the City of San Diego Cultural Affairs prioritizes underserved communities and would like to know specifically if you have an intention to geographically center your project in those communities. If you don't have that intention and your project is for the general overall region or the community, you can say that too. We're not saying that it would not be eligible or allowable. We're just saying this is something that they think is important. Right? Next slide, please. Question 4 is a two-parter. Question 4A is where you will specifically outline your plan for carrying out this project. Now, we didn't give you much space for that in the letter of interest, so I know many of you are chomping at the bit to tell this part of your story. But please be mindful of the following. Be as specific as you can about the details of your project. You already discussed who your project will serve in the previous question. Now you will give specifics about when and where it will be and with whom you will be collaborating. If your project will remain in place for several months or just for a few days, let us know that too. Give us assurance that what you are envisioning can absolutely be done in the 12-month time frame that is within the project timeline. So whatever it is, we want to feel sure that if you started somewhere around November of this year, you will be wrapping up by around November of next year. If you think the project has a life beyond this funding opportunity, you can mention it here. For example, if you're creating a body of work that will be previewed here or premiered here in San Diego, and then travel to another place, that would be really good to share. However, there is no expectation that your project has to have a life beyond the artist count timeframe of 12 months. It is not unrealistic for us to want to know this information. because if you are funded, you'll be expected to begin work as early as November of this year, which is just a few months away. So we're looking to fund artists who are at that stage of readiness to begin working on a project that can be completed in 12 months or less. Next slide, please. The next section is one that should be prepared, you should be prepared to invest as much time in as needed, and that's your project budget. If selected, you will receive $50,000 in advance to fund your project. So we don't reimburse you after you spend anything, you get the money up front. And our expectation is that you have a good idea of how this funding will be put to use. We expect to see a line item that will pay for your time. So don't feel shy about including yourself in the budget. What you do with those funds, once you get them, is up to you. But if you do not pay for yourself for your time, we will assume you'll be using all of the funds for the project. The remaining line items are all estimates, but we want to see your best guess estimate of what things will cost. If budget notes will explain why you might have an unusually large amount or even a no amount line item for a project that will obviously need this kind of support, we want to see that budget note. If there's, if we see that, you're going to be videotaping something or making a movie and you have nothing in your budget for equipment, maybe you already own the equipment. That's why you don't have any cost for it, but let us know. Hey, I already own it, so I don't need to buy that. One other note about this budget, this form that we're asking you to use may not conform to the way you have built your budget. It may not be organized the same way. There may be some line items here that you don't use. But we designed this budget form to make evaluation easy for our panelists so that they would not have to adjust to understanding how everyone might choose to present their expenses. You can imagine how hard that would be. So if you have information that doesn't fit this budget, please address those differences in the notes so that we have a full understanding of your intention. But you cannot change this form. That was the point of me telling you about this form. Next slide. So here's the screen where you can include your income. The screen before was more so about expenses, but this one is about income. And your project budget may exceed $50,000 if you have funds earmarked for the project from other sources, including from your own cash contributions. It is not necessary for you to contribute additional funds to your project. It can be fully funded by the $50,000 if that is sufficient for getting the project done successfully. One final note regarding the budget, it must be realistic. The panelists want to see a budget that aligns with the scope and scale of what you have proposed. We don't know what you consider adequate funding for yourself. We can't tell you what you should be paying yourself, but if your project is fairly small and straightforward, not requiring many materials or equipment, and the project will not require much artistic labor from you, they will question whether this project is a good investment and whether someone else would make better use of the funds. So whatever you're doing, $50,000, it should sound like a $50,000 project, right? Now, I know that $50,000 isn't all the money in the world. I mean, some of you have ideas that need $1 million, but think about what the average person would consider a good use of $50,000 and make it commensurate with that normal expectation. Next slide. Budget notes, still on the budget now. The budget notes are critical to the application as they help explain everything that the numbers can't explain alone. Take advantage of the budget notes so to more clearly explain your intentions. There's a link. You can't write on forever and ever, but there is space there for you to explain what some of the line items mean that may not be clear to the average person. I'll only give an extra point to those artists who make clear that, I wanted to talk about the optional section. That's where I was going with this. There is an optional section of this application where we invite artists to talk about collaborations that are integral and intentional to the design of your project. Collaborations are not coincidental or happenstance or maybe I'll do this or maybe I won't. For the purpose of this application, we want to hear about collaborations that are threaded through each and everything you do. We will only give an extra point to those artists who make it clear that collaboration is a meaningful part of their artist count proposal and include evidence of such throughout the application. For example, if you are fully in collaboration with another artist or an organization, we might expect to see some sharing of funds with them. Maybe, we should see that you're going to give them something because you're in collaboration. So that's the kind of meaningful, intentional partnering we want to see evidenced in your application in order for you to get that extra point. One final thought on working with other artists. We know that artists often hire other artists to work with them on projects to gain their skills and knowledge and other forms of support. We would like to know how you intend to engage with other artists who were not funded through Artist Count, but who you hope to include in your project to expand your creative capacities. That would be a good thing if you let us know that you intend to do that. All right. To the end, next slide. The final section is demographics. It is optional. We collect this information on all our applicants because the data is needed to track our outreach and to help evaluate how well we are serving the broadest communities. Complete this section if this is something you care about and you would like to help us with. And it's fairly straightforward. There aren't that many questions. And that is the end of the formal presentation. I want to thank everyone for taking time out of your busy day to walk through the application. We've now come to the end of the recorded part of the application workshop. I hope this has been helpful. What we'll do now is stop the recording and then begin to take your questions about anything you have shared. Again, this recording, hopefully crossing our fingers, will be able to be viewed whenever you're ready, whenever it gets ready, and we'll put it up on our website.